Alright, let's go ahead and get started here pretty soon. Let me update my Twist broadcast title. I should probably let my dogs in so that they do not destroy my backyard. They've been digging lately, which is awful and very bad of them. Just awful. Today we have a Shyvana game, not a Tristana game. Is it one end? I guess it's only one end. I thought it was two ends. I fail. I don't even know how to spell Shyvana. Okay. So as usual, I do love chatting with my viewers. So if you are watching, go ahead and jump into the Twitch chat, which I will have set up on my second monitor. If you are watching this on YouTube, I encourage you to follow me on Twitter. That's at RockalakaliliLOL. You can see that right here at the bottom of your screen. And you should find the Tasty Pastries team page on Facebook and like us. We don't have enough fans to get like a custom username yet, but so you'll have to find us. But we have an awesome logo. It's a donut being eaten by a horribly drawn Cho'Gath. It's pretty awesome. You'll see it. You should like us. We'll keep you updated on news about our team. As far as news and what's going on, we are actively trying out AD carries. We have one that we think has great potential. We're still talking to. We're really excited about. We are actively trying to get a sponsorship, and we think we probably have something lined up here. But we'll see in the coming weeks how that all boils down. We're really excited. And yeah, so without further ado, let's just go ahead and jump into this Shyvana game. I have to find it. What did I do? Where did the Firefox window go? Oh, okay. I guess I closed it. Not a problem. I gotta get back into it, and then we'll go ahead and get started. So this is a Shyvana jungle game at around 1350 elo, and this is another game where the submitter thought that they played rather well early, but still ended up with a defeat. So hopefully I'll go ahead and talk about ways in which you can snowball a game into your team's advantage and keep it that way through the jungle position. That's the whole goal for today. I'm gonna let my dogs in real quick, make sure they're not destroying the yard while this loads. Okay, so right off the bat, if we look at the jungle matchup here, looks like we have you are Shyvana against Amumu, and that is a great matchup for you. That's something that, that's a matchup that goes really well in your favor. Let me actually open the door so we have more light for the webcam. You guys out. Calm down. Okay, so anyway, this matchup is really heavily in your favor. One of the things Shyvana is strongest at is counter jungling. Just because her clear is so fast, her W makes her move very quickly, so it's easy for her to run away if she does get in trouble. And she's a very strong duelist. Her W will do a lot of damage. You reduce your armor with your fireball. That W is going to do consistent damage, and then your Q is also going to chunk them. So she's a very strong duelist, very good at counter jungling. And so that is ideally what your plan should be, especially against an Amumu who has a very fragile beginning jungle. He's very dependent on blue. Looks like you guys are not invading his blue, which is fine. Your level 1 fight is actually not very strong. You guys don't have a whole lot of CC. And that's actually one concerning thing about your team comp is you guys don't have hardly any CC. It's like Fizzle, Sona ult. That's it. So, looks like doing okay so far. So race to red, starting boots is a good choice on Shyvana. The boots will make it so that you're very, very fast, and you're going to be able to counter jungle this movement pretty hard, ideally. And the reason why you're going to be able to counter jungle on a movement pretty hard is if you guys run into each other in the jungle, the movement's not going to be able to do anything to you. You can just fight him and kill him. He's very weak early game, and Amumu is not a very strong champion in 1v1 situations. He's very good in like small fights, like 2v2s, 3v3s, but in a 1v1, Amumu is not a very strong champion. So it looks like Amumu is approaching his red buff as you are maybe going into counter jungle. So right now, if you're going to his race, you should know that he's already cleared his race. Like that you did not end up clearing that very quickly. Oh, so you're going immediately to his red buff to try to fight him. So this is tricky, and I like seeing this. So very great job by you. And you're just going to go ahead and fight the Amumu. You also pick up the red buff, so that's great. That's going to be an easy kill on this Amumu, or at least a flash. Very odd he had flash and he didn't even try to use it, but great. And this is the strength of this matchup, Shyvana versus Amumu. You are able to counter jungle him like that. You are able to abuse him. We just saw Annie use flash, so this should be a very dead Annie. So great job by you picking up the kill on Amumu, his red buff, and Annie. Oh, real quick though, you need to push this lane out. This is something you should always do as a jungler. If you ever kill the enemy mid lane, push that lane out. Like that was about 7 creeps that just died that no one on your team got the gold or experience for, and that could have been you. You could have gotten all that gold and experience right there, and then counter jungled his race and not missed out on anything. So just something to consider there. Actually looks like your Jace picking up a kill and renecting, which is good. So you're off to a very great start. And one thing that I just want to tell everyone, if you're jungling, like taking a buff right here, pull it into this brush so that can't happen to you. You know, you just sneaked in this brush and Amumu had no idea. But if you're jungling, pull that buff into the brush. Alright, looks like you're gonna go. Yeah, I think it's a good idea to go ahead and base. Looks like you have 1300 gold. Maybe you're waiting. I forget how much exactly like a Wriggles is if you're going Wriggles, but maybe you're waiting for that. That's okay. Anyway, when you're jungling, you want to keep an eye on your lanes. Just kind of keep an eye out for how your lanes are doing. Looks like at the moment your middle lane is doing fine. Your top lane just picked up a kill, so they should probably be okay. But your bottom lane is getting ganked, and this is actually going to hurt really bad. This Ezreal might be screwed. So this is the thing you should be doing when you're jungling. You should be watching and checking what's going on here. Oh, actually, they do a greedy tower dive, and now Amumu is really far behind. And so this is one thing I don't like seeing. Looks like you tried desperately to do these double golems and just force this. Like you could have just based, and you did a good job kiting out and stalling out the damage, making sure you don't die there. But still, like, you could have just based and then done those later. I feel like that wasn't worth the amount of time that it took you to do them. But just very minor things. So far your play's been good. Looks like you pick up Pink Claw, Vamp Scepter, and a potion. And even with those doubles, it looks like you were like 100 shy of picking up the Wriggles. So yeah, I don't think that was worth forcing. Yeah, at this point, you know that you're going to be like really significantly stronger than Amumu, especially like Amumu only has cloth armor, whereas you have a Pink Claw and a Vamp Scepter. So every time Amumu ever shows himself to gank, that lets you know where he is, and that gives you information on where you can safely invade into his jungle. Another thing is if you want to always keep in mind the timer of his buffs. You should know the timer of the red buff because you took it, so either make a mental note or write it in chat. You know, it's going to be 5 minutes after it dies, and then you know the timer of his blue because he started it, so that's always going to be about 7:10 or so. Looks like you forced an early base just to pick up your finished Wriggles, which is okay, especially because now you're going to have that Wriggles for like that 7:10 buff spawn. which is nice. It's good to see. That's probably a pretty good heads up play right there. But right now your lanes are doing well. Like Jace picked up a kill. He's getting out CS, but he's up by a kill. Fizz is, you know, crushing Anir at the moment. He just killed her 1v1 and is up like 10 CS. If you look at how your bottom lane's doing, you know, your bottom lane is up in CS slightly, and if you're up in CS against Caitlyn, that's a good thing. Alright, so I really like this. You're being aggressive, and it looks like you're going to contest the second blue buff. Looks like you're going to wait around, see if maybe they're coming for it. Unfortunately, this Amumu is only level 4 with no mana right now, so I don't think he's really going to be able to contest this at all. So that's really good for you and your team. Just hooking Fizz up with that is going to be really great. You know, just getting the CDR reduction on Fizz's ultimate is going to be really strong. And yeah, it looks like now you can go and secure your red buff. Oh, the long range shark. Oh, I think Amumu actually could have recalled if he just didn't cancel it. This is a pretty dangerous dive because Renekton and Annie are both going to come collapse on this. Yeah, so I think Fizz is definitely going to die there. Pick up the Annie kill too. Yeah, so this is a really, really reckless play right here. But you guys are 2 for 1 so far. Just make sure that like you don't die is the big thing. So you gotta be really careful on this tower dive. Oh, Jace. Okay, Ignite is able to pick him up. I was gonna say if Jace didn't pick up that kill, that'd be a really awful play. But so nice job there. You guys are able to go 3 for 1. You know, you steal the blue buff, and ultimately it ends up transferring to Jace. So good play there. This Fizz is making big plays. So at this point, you know, I would secure your own red buff, and then maybe heal up, and then maybe look to contest Amumu's red buff. Because if you can, the thing with Amumu is if you can stall out his, the longer you can stall out his level 6, just the better it's going to be for you. You know, Amumu is so dependent on hitting level 6 for that big ulti for his ganks that if you just stall that out, it really hurts Amumu. My Twitch chat doesn't seem to be working. I don't know if anyone's in it, but I'm having issues with it at the moment. But that's okay. And your blue is up also, so you just look. You guys have really good vision, so you're gonna be able to see if Amumu comes to contest this. You know, you'll see him leave this jungle, and you'll see him leave the jungle here. So you're gonna be able to see if, you know, your blue is getting stolen out from under you. But you still, you know, you don't want to leave buffs up. That's inefficient. You want to take the buff every time it's up, as soon as it's up, ideally, just for maximum efficiency and maximum like buff uptime on your team. And one thing like as Shyvana, you know, you really don't need blue in the slightest. So yeah, it's good that you keep passing it off onto your mid laner. That's good. Fizz is definitely good. But the other thing is that Ezreal and Sona are also great candidates for blue buff on this team. Yeah, Ezreal is an AD carry that really, really loves that blue buff, and Sona is actually a support that can really benefit from blue buff as well. So, but at this point, you want to be looking to really, really just snowball your strong advantage. Ooh, big level 6 Amumu gank bottom, and actually, Ezreal might live, which would be really good for your team. But that's something you have to be really careful about. And one thing to note is that like your bottom lane is getting ganked a lot, and your bottom lane is kind of losing due to jungle pressure from this Amumu, and so you need to keep that in mind, and you need to also provide big jungle pressure just to balance things out, you know. So while they're all chasing Ezreal here, you can be, like, you don't have to chase and follow this. Like, you're pretty low. This is really dangerous for you. Like, you get CC locked and just die. You should just be doing something like pushing mid right now. Like, this whole time, instead of running back there and dancing awkwardly, you could have this wave at the turret, and you would be missing all that CS that the turret is killing. So, you know, there was nothing to do. And, like, right there, you should have just finished pushing this wave, just shoved it up really fast. So one thing in your jungle play that I'm noticing already is pay attention to like lane control and where you should be pushing lanes for your team, because that's one thing that Shyvana is very strong at. She's going to be able to just push up a lane really, really fast, and that's something that, you know, that's one of Shyvana's biggest strengths. And there's been a couple times mid now where you could have, it would have been a really good time to push the lane up, and you don't. So no, you're also okay. So one thing in your build I don't like already is you're picking up phage instead of upgrading your boots first. And as a melee champion, upgrading your boots is something that's very, very important. Just to close that gap. I mean, phage will provide you a slow, but it's very unreliable, and it relies on RNG to get that proc. Oh, I like this a lot. Once again, you know, the timer on the buff, you took that at around, I think it was 7:30, so we know that that's going to be up around 12:30. Oh, Fizz forcing it after missing his ult. Good flash away, though. Looks like Renekton coming down, so a lot of pressure coming out on this mid lane. I don't know why Fizz is staying when they know Renekton's there, but that's really scary. Yeah, really silly by Fizz. Just walks into the Annie stun. RNG is random number generator. When I say the phage proc, oh my god, that Annie. When I say the phage proc is dependent on RNG, I just mean that it's a random thing. It's dependent on the random number generator. Your bot picking up, trading 2 for 1, or no, 1 for 1, but their AD carry is the one that's left alive, so that's good. Looks like you're contesting this blue buff again, also a good choice. Yeah, be careful, because if you look at what's happening, like, you were tanking the golem and the 2 little lizards and their actions, so you gotta be careful in that duel. But Jace was there, and a 4-0 Jace is gonna be like a total beast to deal with. But so you've denied Amumu 2 blue buffs now, very good. You've denied their team 2 buffs. He'd probably pass those off to Annie at this point. But so things are looking really good for your team. You know, you guys are fed, but one thing to realize is, like, you guys haven't taken any towers yet, so you need to start looking at how to translate, like, this advantage you have in that, like, you're winning in the jungle, almost all of your lanes are winning, and how to translate this into more objectives. Like, you guys haven't taken dragon once this game, despite winning almost every lane and winning the jungle. You haven't taken dragon. You just got your first tower taken top lane. And so, you know, this is the kind of stuff that you guys need to capitalize on. I don't know why Fizz didn't just ult right away. But Taric making big plays with the exhaust, saving Annie's life. Yeah. But it's still, that's 1-for-1 exchange and a lot of abilities down. Like, you guys can look to pressure dragon. It looks like that's what you're doing here. You're pinging dragon, you're saying, hey, let's dragon, but your team needs to be on the same page. So like, half your team is chasing in the jungle and half of you guys are doing dragon, and you guys need to just do the same thing in a situation like this. So oh, Jace ran so Sona couldn't block it. That was such a mistake. But you guys do pick up the dragon buff, which is good. You know, you're not gonna be able to help your team. And in a situation like, that's classic solo queue right there. Like, half your team does one thing and the other half does a different thing. And so, like, in that situation, just try to do what your team does. Like, yes, dragon was probably the right play, but in the same vein, like, if you guys just all went with Jace and Sona, you guys would have crushed them in that team fight, no question. Alright, so good smite on Amumu. Very good play, taking advantage of having that warded. You have to be really careful because you have double buffs and you're low health. Like, it's not worth transferring these double buffs. Yeah, you're gonna have to ult, like, away. Okay, I guess they were scared, which is fine. But yeah, you don't ever want to, like, risk double buffs in a silly situation. Double buffs are just so strong for your team. But so, I mean, that worked out okay for you guys. You guys are able to pick up the first dragon of the game. And you traded, I think, 1 for 2 to do so. So it wasn't awful. Actually, Amumu died trying to take that blue buff, so it was actually 2 for 2 in dragon. So that's good. You know, your gold gap is almost 4,000. You guys are sizably in the lead. But like I said, you have to look, how do we take this advantage? Get towers, contest buffs that you've been doing a really good job at, and dragons. So you got your first dragon. Now we need to look for getting towers, and that's something that Shyvana is very, very good at. Your burnout is going to clear waves very quickly, and then your Q being an auto attack reset as well as like double auto attacking really chunks towers. Yeah, so I just make sure that your burnout's hitting all these minions and just clear them out. There you go. Well, looks like Mr. Necton's looking to gank Fizz again. So he'll be fine, but he will have to recall after that. So as we get into this point in the game, like your lesser creep camps, like your double golems, your wraiths, and your wolves, are going to become a lot less valuable. And what's going to become a lot more valuable is lane control, pushing out lanes, you know, just dominating all of the lanes and getting towers. That's going to be what you should start focusing on here. And trying to get to fights like that. Yep, there you go. I'll shrink the camera. And be really careful about risking those buffs like that. But looks like Renekton actually blew his flash to try to get you there, and you had to blow your exhaust in return. But don't try to defend this turret. Like, that's too risky to defend that turret. Yeah, there you go. And now you just died, gave Renekton your killing spree bonus. But Fizz gets his killing speed bonus. But still, you want to be careful. Like, you don't want to die when you're doing well, as you know, a Renekton with money is going to be a hard thing to deal with. And it was kind of silly. I mean, you did bait the Renekton into dying, but you died yourself. So alright, trying to get my webcam in an ideal spot. There we go. Hello, Uber Shy. Okay. Okay, so once again, you still have boots 1, and I really hate that decision. I really don't like it. Every person except Tarek has boots 2 already, has upgraded boots on the enemy team. So when your burnout's not up, I mean, when your burnout's up, you know, you run fast, but when your burnout's not up, like, you're gonna be slow and you're gonna have a really hard time catching people if you're not like chaining, you know, lucky phage procs. So this is dangerous. Like, you guys are split. You guys need to group together one way or the other. So that's a good ulti by you, just jumping in there. You guys are gonna be able to pick up a Moon or Renekton. You want to get on Annie here, though, like, not Tarek. So you're chasing the support out of the fight, but leaving their AP carry alive. And it worked out really well for you guys. You guys pick up a carry, but just pick up a triple kill. But just something to note, like, in that situation, you can definitely... that can be something that turns out really poorly if you focus on support like that. One thing, you guys honestly can dragon. Like, you have a Wriggles, you have Sona heal. Jace is really strong right now, also has a Wriggles. You guys could have done Baron right there. Yeah, I'm reasonably certain that the 3 of you could have 3-man Baron. It might have been rough, and you guys might have had to switch tanks and stuff. But you guys easily could have Baron. Like, Kate was bottom, there was no contest. You could have at least tried it out, and, you know, if it didn't work, then back out. But I really think you guys could have Baroned with 2 Wriggles and Sona, but tough to say. So at this point, you might want to start considering donating your red buff to Ezreal, as Ezreal benefits a lot from red buff, as does any AD carry, but especially because his Q will apply it from, I think max range on his Q is like 1,000, so like that's a significant range to apply the red buff dot and slow. Oh man, what is your team doing? Yeah, you're gonna have to just ult in here. It's kind of a flubbed ult, but that's okay. But I wouldn't chase this. I wouldn't chase this. Like, okay, so that was really greedy of you, and that's a really poor decision right there. Alright, so this is, and we kind of talked about this on my last replay, which is effectively when you're trying to carry a game, you can't do dumb things and give up dumb deaths. Like, that's something I would qualify as a dumb death. Like, you ult in, you save your teammate, they disengage, and then they chase. And you're chasing 2v3 already without knowing that Caitlyn's right there. And that's a very greedy play, and this goes back to the fact that you only had Boots 1 right there. You're not going to catch Annie. You're not going to catch Annie with only Boots 1 against the CC that was being thrown out at you and all that. So, just a big mistake there. The other thing that I really don't like seeing in your build right now is you picked up Ninja Tabby. Look at this enemy team CC. Every single champion on the enemy team has something that Merc Treads would really help for. A Mumu Bandage, a Mumu Ult. Merc Treads so good against. Taric Stun, Merc Treads so good against. Renekton Stun, again. Annie Stun, again. Kate Trap. All of those abilities, Merc Treads are so good to deal with. So it's really disappointing to see you pick up the Ninja Tabby there. I think that's a really poor decision for your boots. But if we look at this game now, you guys are even in turrets. Oh man, you guys are in trouble. Like, this is really silly. You can't go into their jungle when they're all missing with only 3 people. Actually, this might end up okay because they're all out of mana. Okay, so this is really good. You guys pick up a like 4-for-1 exchange. Now you guys need to immediately look to push. Like, go push this mid tower, get red buff, push this mid tower. The big thing is push. And this is the biggest thing. Like, when you get kills, when you win team fights, when you get a small advantage, you always look to change it into a new advantage. And that's something that I try to really emphasize in these lessons. That's how you win games of League of Legends. It's called the snowball effect. You get a small advantage and you use that small advantage to get further advantages. So you guys need to push down this mid turret. Jace has the right idea. What you don't need to do right now, you didn't need to go farm your wolves. That's not a high priority objective. But this mid tower, that is. So now Jace had to take that by himself, and it was a little scary because there's like a full health of Mumu there. But just something to note. Does Spell Vamp work on Shyvana? Spell Vamp works on any champion's abilities. So Spell Vamp would Spell Vamp off of her W damage, but the reduce for AoE, and it would Spell Vamp off her Flame Breath. And I don't believe it would Spell Vamp off Twin Bites. I believe Lifesteal would affect that because this is a auto attack enhancing ability and not a spell. Really dangerous for you to be running around with low HP like that. In fact, I want to back that up to see what kind of information you're dealing with. So you don't see them, but still, it's really dangerous to run with like a quarter health when you don't know. Like, you are a melee tank. If you're not full health, you're not going to be useful to your team. So if you get low like that, you just need to recall and heal up. You can't run around with low HP on pretty much any champion. So it's really silly for you to be running around with such low HP like that. And so pretty much if we look at your deaths, so there's this one and the last one, which were just really, really silly deaths. So out of your 3 deaths, 2 of them have been completely avoidable just by being a little more heads up and making better decisions. And so if you had made those decisions, like, this game would be going differently. You'd be a lot stronger. See, if you look at this game, despite like counter jungling with some Mumu, despite having a stellar early game, the enemy team is sitting fine. Like, they have 3 of your turrets down, and you have 4 of theirs down. So they're not losing significantly on turrets. They're down, what, even on dragons, because they snuck that last dragon. Only 2 dragons have died this game. Excuse me. Oh man, Sona didn't check this brush. Such a big mistake. Oracles, you have to check all the brushes. So, and that's something like if you're paying attention, you can tell Sona to check. So they know you guys are all up here towards the Baron area. They don't know you guys have circled around this close. Oh, now they do. They just saw Fizz and Sona. Really silly turret dive. You guys do not want to force it. Oh man, Can't believe Amumu didn't just press R. Catching you guys in that turret would have been so bad for your team. So we look at how team fights are gonna... Oh my god, excuse me. We look at how team fights are gonna play out for your team. You are your team's initiation. I spoke earlier about really your team's lack of CC. And how your team really lacks CC out of like your Sona ult and Fizz ult. Oh, and Amumu with a good initiate. But Ezreal is not caught in it, which is really good. Okay, so your Dragon ult came really late there. Alright, so really poor play just by your team and also by yourself. I'm actually going to go ahead and rewind this and slow this down so we can see what happens. So if we look at what happens, like, okay, I'm going to pause this. If you're sieging a turret, let's switch to your vision. Okay, sieging a turret, where is Amumu? Well, if you were Amumu, where would you be? Like, this is a common spot for an Amumu or a Blitzcrank or anyone with some skill shot over the wall or like a Morgana to stand in to try to initiate. You guys are clumped up right next to a wall that you should realize Amumu is probably standing in. And then sure enough, Amumu comes out and you guys actually see him and you stay. You see him and you stay and you go near the wall providing Amumu the bandage toss. Really big mistake. And then this dragon form is really slow. Like, you've been un-CC'd for a while there and you were able to dragon form. And you need to dragon form and get on the Kate and the Annie. You need to get them out of the fight. Because those are their carries. And that dragon form comes really late and you keep going on their melee champions. But look at what the carries are doing. Kate has just 100% damage uptime right here. She is just clicking away. Annie is running... I don't know what Annie's doing exactly, but really poor fight for you guys. You guys can't group up in balls against this team. Like, if you look at their AoE, Amumu ult, followed by Annie's Tibber, followed by Caitlyn Q, followed by Taric RW, followed by like Renekton's dash and Q, and just his ult damage. Like, they are a large AoE team. That's such a poor decision to group up next to a wall where you don't see a Amumu. I can't stress how poor of a decision that was. Like, that just 100% gave the enemy team the momentum. That threw the game right there, essentially. Like, you guys were so far ahead, and in that game, that fight right there just threw the game. Like, if we look at the gold differential, they're only 2.5k behind now. They just like cut the gold differential in half with that fight. And now you guys are also lose a blue buff for that. But one thing you guys need to look is you guys can just rush Baron right now. Like, Annie and Kate, you just saw at the bottom half of the map. There's a good chance they're gonna recall right here. You guys can rush Baron and force Baron, and maybe you can catch them out of position for that. Like, look, you will see Renekton bottom right now. Like, this is like prime Baron opportunity. You know that they just like use their big ultimates. Like, Amumu ult should definitely be down. You know that they use Tibbers and Renekton ult, but those cooldowns aren't as long. So like, they don't have Amumu ult. You just saw Renekton bottom. This is the perfect opportunity to take a Baron. And as a jungler, like, that needs to be you to recognize his Baron opportunities. So that's twice now that you could have possibly forced the Baron. And it didn't seem like you guys were really interested in it at all. So that's something as a jungler, like, that needs to be on you to get your team to do that. Alright, and if you guys group up mid and get bunched up like that again, I don't know what to say, because obviously, like, grouping up against this team, and if you guys group up into small balls, like, we just saw what happens. So if you guys do that again, then, you know, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. So, like, that would just be really poor decision by you guys if you siege this without vision of Amumu and get engaged on again. Now, with that said, you guys do have good poke, so sieging a turret isn't a bad idea. The bad idea is sieging a turret without sight on Amumu. Like, you have to be careful when you siege a turret about strong engage, because getting engaged here means their range can sit under protection of turret, and that's why, like, this is such a bad spot. Yep, and there it is. You guys ball up, and then Amumu engaged, and and it happened again. And I called it again, and it happened again. Like, you have to pay attention to team comps and realize this is not a play we can do. You can't bunch up as 5 people right in front of an Amumu. Like, that is Amumu's dream right there. Stunning someone right there so your range can sit in the tower, that is Amumu's, like, oh my gosh, that's dreamland for Amumu. And once again, you use your ult to jump on the melee champion instead of jumping onto the ranged people. That's your biggest goal when you're playing Shyvana, is you jump onto their range and zone them out of the fight. You don't jump onto like Renekton and Taric and Amumu. Especially like Amumu already used his ult, like Taric used his abilities. Renekton's going to be annoying, but you know, you have to jump on Annie and Caitlyn and get them out of there. Alright, so that's going to be Baron for them. And fast forward just a little bit. Looks like Amumu's trying to tank that turret. So now is a good time for you guys to fight. They use their big ultimates. They're all on cooldown. Now you guys want to fight. So you guys should definitely chase this. Like, they exhaust on Taric is really weird. I guess it caught him, but for the actual fight, like okay. I'll pause this. Once again, look at this Caitlyn. No one is on her. She is getting 100% uptime on her fight, on her right clicks right now. Just, you know, boom, boom, boom. She's chunking. That fight could have gone so much better for you guys if you stuck on Caitlyn. Like, that is your job as Shyvana. You get on their carries and zone them out. And, yes, someone asking in the Twitch chat, is that generally how you play melee fighter types in team fights? Yeah, you stick on their squishies. That's most of the time the job of, like, bruisers, is to wade through the enemy team and get to the squishies in the back and zone them, either zone them out of the fight or kill them. That's in general, like, your job as a squishy. So, or as a bruiser. It's to kill the squishies. I think you can sing that to the theme of Ride of the Valkyries. Kill the squishies, kill. I'm not gonna subject you to my singing though, because that's just cruel. Anyway, so you guys are now losing this game. Like, you guys went from handedly winning this game to losing this game. And so you specifically in your play, it came from dying a couple times for no reason, just silly deaths, and then some awful teamfight decisions as a team. Getting caught twice here is just really inexcusable. Like, the first time, okay, whatever, but then you should learn, hey, maybe we shouldn't sit right here and let Amumu engage on 4 of us. That's a really poor decision. And then every team fight so far, you haven't gotten on Caitlyn, and Caitlyn's just been free to sit there and right-click everyone. And you have to get on Caitlyn. Like, you and Fizz have to be going deep on the enemy team. 100%. Okay, so I really don't like that decision. You just dragon formed out. I mean, it's a bad fight, but like, you weren't even really in danger, and so to use your ult to run away like that when you weren't in significant danger, I think is rather silly. So now you don't have your ult to defend this tower, but at this point, it seems like you guys have pretty much given up. You can use your smite to help kill like the cannon minion, or to smite Tibbers to help slow a push like this, but yeah, you guys, okay, so this is one thing that's really silly that you guys just did. Like, you guys didn't really defend the turret, like, you didn't really fight them there, but you stayed until the turret was dead. And so if you're still there when the turret dies, of course they're going to fight you, because now you don't have a turret to help defend you. So if you're going to defend the turret, then fight them under the turret, and if you're not, then, you know, run away when the turret dies. So kind of silly, but yeah, and at this point, this Kate is really strong and is really hard to deal with. But it looks like that's probably game, maybe? Lasona can defend this. Alright, looks like they're too afraid of Sona, I guess, to finish the game, but that's okay. Alright. So it looks like the game ends pretty soon here. Probably just the next team fight or something. But this is something, like, you have to realize, like, their comp is so much stronger in a 5v5 fight than you. Especially just through pure AoE. Once again, ulting away when I don't think you were really in danger. Let me rewind this. So, A, it's dangerous to go here when you don't have any vision of your jungle. Very dangerous at this point in the game when you don't know where anyone on their team is. I guess you see your Nectin. So they camp the red buff. I mean, maybe you would have gotten hit by that Tibbers, but like, you're really tanky. You're not going to get bursted down, so you can, like, eat a CC and then ult away. The other thing is, like, I don't really like GA on tanky champions in general. It depends. Like, as Shyvana, you're probably going to die last in a fight anyway. Like, on Irelia, GA is really strong because you do so much damage on Irelia. Like, they have to kill you just to get you off of the AD carry. But as Shyvana, like, there's not really a reason for them to kill you. They can just kind of kite out and ignore you. So I don't know how I feel about GA. Especially when you're losing like this. I feel like that, like, picking up a Randuin's to help deal with Caitlyn would have been much more effective for your team. But anyway, that's going to be game. So just to recap, you had a really strong early game, and you really dominated the early game by securing buffs. You got kills. It was really good. But then what happened is you did a couple stupid things that caused you to die for no reason. That puts you behind. That stops the snowball. Then you had a couple bad team fights, and your team just got caught as a team twice doing the same thing. So you have to pay attention to enemy team comps and realize, like, hey, they have a really strong AoE comp. Maybe we shouldn't get caught in a tight ball in front of their tower, and then maybe we shouldn't do that again. So just really poor decisions there. And then one of the big things when you're jungling is when you have such a big advantage like that, like, you need to force objectives more. Like, you only got one dragon, despite being so far ahead early, you only forced one dragon. It was a really late dragon too. Like, you could have had other dragon opportunities. Baron, I pointed out, like, 2 opportunities your team could have Baroned. And as a jungler, like, these are things that you need to recognize and you need to get your team to do. Yeah, so I think that's pretty much all I have to say about that game, but thank you for watching. If you're watching this on YouTube, please like the video, go ahead and subscribe. You guys can follow me on my Twitter, that's at rockalockalililol. I'll be trying to tweet a lot, keep you guys updated on what's going on with my team, Tasty Pastries, what's going on with my stream. Maybe I'll tweet small lol tips, maybe. You can also find the Tasty Pastries on Facebook. If you search for it, Tasty Pastries, you'll see our logo. It's a little, like, MS Paint logo. Man, it's like a donut getting eaten by a horribly drawn Cho'Gath. But you can like us on Facebook for updates on the team, as we are looking to make a presence in the tournament scene. We're going to continue playing Go for Lols for now. We're going to look for other online events and qualifiers, and we're also currently attempting to get sponsored. So but thanks a lot for watching. Like I said, please like this video, subscribe to me on YouTube. You can subscribe to me on Twitch if you want, and follow me on Twitter. Thank you, and